Good afternoon. Hello, Swadhi Khap. I'm super excited to be here and would like to thank Affiliate World Asia for giving me the opportunity to be on this wonderful platform and speak to this really fantastic audience. Now, if you are in this room, you are an advertiser. If I can just have a quick show of hands, how many of you here predominantly run, let's say, affiliate ads / e-commerce campaigns? Okay, a few of the hands have gone up here. How many of you here predominantly run, let's say, lead generation campaigns? Not a lot, a few here and there. And lastly, how many of you either run search arbitrage campaigns or are interested in getting into search arbitrage? I thought there was going to be a lot more excitement for Search Arb given all the sessions that we've had across the last couple of days. But regardless of whether your marketing objective is any of these, I promise you, by the end of this session, you'll be glad you came here. But before I get there, a little bit about myself. My name is Shashank. I've been in the digital advertising ecosystem for about 15 years. That gives away my age, and I usually don't like to confess what my age is. I've worked with companies such as Google, PubMatic in the past. Over the last 5 years, I've been working with Taboola as the advertising account director. And what this really means is that it gives me this unique vantage point because we work with advertisers across multiple markets: India, Australia, Japan, Singapore, Southeast Asia, Thailand, what have you. A lot of the other countries. Advertisers who come in different shapes and sizes, advertisers who have different sort of marketing goals. But the one thing that ties all the advertisers together, perhaps, is their quest to succeed on this platform, their quest to run profitable campaigns, and that's where we Taboolars come in. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to speak with you on what is common amongst all the advertisers who see massive success on the platform, and a sustained one at that. Because we do not want advertisers who come in, see success for a couple of months, and for it not to continue as they go along. So that's going to be the key central message that I'll try and deliver over the next 20 minutes. All right, so what exactly are we going to be speaking on today? First off, why should native / Taboola, I believe it is synonymous. Taboola is to native what Xerox was to photocopying. So why Taboola should be in your marketing mix at all times? And what are the benefits of reaching your audience on premium placements? The second thing that I'll speak of is what are those very important key elements with respect to your copy, with respect to your design, that can completely change the way in which you are seeing performance on your native ad campaigns. And lastly, we are in 2023. Any presentation would not be complete if we did not touch upon AI. So we will spend a few minutes speaking of how Taboola is going to help you work smart with AI. All right, but first thing, when you want to have a business discussion, how many of you agree that it's not just about what is the discussion that is being had, it's also about where you are having the discussion. For instance, you could be meeting me at a gym at 5 a.m. in the morning or in a movie theater at 1 p.m., but let's face it, that's probably not the best place to have a business discussion. Neither am I kind of thinking on those lines, nor am I open or receptive to any great ideas that may be coming from your side. And the same applies when you want to reach your potential users and engage with them as to where you are reaching them. All right, so taking a step back, Taboola is how advertisers can turn users on the open web into their customers. Now, what truly differentiates Taboola or native from any of the other platforms is where you are engaging with your end user. Taboola does not interfere with users who have come onto a certain website. They have come there for a purpose. They want to either consume the content, read the news, watch the video. We do not want to be interrupting that specific experience of theirs. So we are going to give them that experience, and it's only after they have finished reading their article, that's when the Taboola ads come in. And that's what makes the entire native experience extremely different. If I can quickly ask another question, there are hundreds of sites, there are a plethora of sites which offer news. How many of you restrict yourself to just reading or consuming news from, let's say, 2 to 5 sites. All right, so what that tells us is even though there are hundreds of sites out there, we put our trust on a specific number of sites and we consume our content from there. And the same applies to our end users that we are trying to target. When they see an ad of your product, of the service that you have to offer on a website that they have put their trust in, they are more likely to convert. They are more likely to believe the messaging that they see on that specific website. Another thing which, again, is very unique to Taboola is the fact that the kind of tie-ups that we have with the publishers goes way beyond just the monetization. It is actually about helping the publishers understanding their own users in a much better manner. If you go to a specific website, what is the kind of content that you are consuming? Are you consuming content around politics? Are you consuming content around technology? Is it around sports? Is it around entertainment? Now, when we look at all of this data, we are then able to show the users the exact products that they may either be interested in or something that could actually pique their interest and something that they could actually discover or be relevant to them. I've probably seen this slide about 100 times, but I get super excited each time I look at this one. Many of you may not want to answer this question very truthfully because it will probably give away your age. But how many of you in this room, for you, the first search engine that you used was Yahoo? Looks like I'm amongst the older people in this room. Because the reality is, for a lot of us who were born in the 80s, Yahoo was probably the first popular search engine. Yahoo was probably the first platform where we created our email IDs. So there is a lot of legacy associated to Yahoo, and Yahoo has had a massive contribution to the overall development of the entire digital ecosystem. Now, does anyone know how many years back Yahoo actually came into existence? Any guesses from the audience? Number? 30, okay, I heard the number 30. 30 is a pretty magical number for us. Yahoo, give or take, was launched in '94, that's about 30 years back. And we have now gotten into a partnership with Yahoo for the next 30 years. Now that also speaks of the kind of trust that Yahoo has in our technology, in our ability to scale this and take it to the next level. But more importantly, what does this mean for you? What does this mean for the advertisers? How many of you identify, let's say, Yahoo Finance? Probably a lot of us, right? Then there is Yahoo News, there is TechCrunch, there is Yahoo Fantasy. Now, a user that you are reaching on Yahoo Finance is obviously someone who has disposable income, who is looking at investing into different sort of stocks. So that's the audience that you would want to reach out to when you're selling your products or when you're selling your services. Now, the combination of the existing Taboola premium placements, which is about 9,000 plus publishers, which is an impressive list as is, that in combination with Yahoo allows you to reach 1 billion plus users on a day-to-day basis. I got to go back to the previous slide. Just give me a second. Yeah. So that allows you to reach 1 billion plus daily users. Another very interesting development on the back of this is as we now enter the era of cookie-less world, I think Google is going to probably start the phase 1 in Q1 of 2024, and it plans to probably roll this out across by the end of 2024. But with Yahoo coming in, we actually get extensive contextual data set of 900 million users globally. So what that means is even in this new era that we are going to venture into, we have a lot of contextual data, and we are able to reach out to 1 billion plus users across all of these really fantastic websites. All right, so on native, generally with the regular ad types that you see, you scroll down, you finish reading your article, you then see the feed. In addition to that, we now get Yahoo Mail. It's a pretty awesome placement, and frankly, we have seen some really good numbers here. Because unlike the regular Yahoo, the regular native placements, the Yahoo Mail placement is very unique. So you will see it when you experience it for yourself. And likewise, we also get mobile web, mobile app, and that really adds to the plethora of options that we already have to offer. All right, so we spoke about what native is. In brief, we spoke about the need to actually engage with our audience on premium placements. More importantly, speaking with them when they are in that discovery moment, in the moment of next. They have finished doing what they were doing and now they are looking at what to do next. Now, the next segment that we will look at is what are the copy and design types that really help you completely change the way in which you have been looking at native ad platform. The one way in which you can ensure that every single user who clicked on your ad obviously had some interest, which is why they came onto your ad, they clicked on it. Now, after they click on it, it's an opportunity to actually convert someone who is an interested user into your customer. So here we will touch upon some of the design types and copy types that will completely rig the game in your favor. All right, so before that, one reality of advertising that we'll all have to acknowledge. Advertising is an art of convincing people to buy things they don't need with money they don't have. And that makes our job extremely challenging. How do we sell our offers? How do we sell our products to actually convince the end user that this is something that they should be using? Nobody also likes to read advertising or watch ads, be it on television, be it on desktop, be it on websites. But everybody wants to read content which is interesting, and sometimes it just ends up being an ad. Predominantly on Taboola, the kind of content pages that we see, and again, when I say content pages, I'm referring to what happens after the user clicks on the ad. We look at pages which essentially speak of tips and tricks. Now, this could be what are the tips that you could be using to make a lot of money if you are into stock trading, what sort of stocks to buy, what are the tips to lose weight, something that I so desperately need. You see videos, you see content pages which have video which run for a couple of minutes, which again explain a lot of things about their offerings. We have podcasts, we have case studies, testimonials, listicles, and lastly, evergreen. We call this evergreen because this is a structure which has been working for the last so many years, which continue to give very good results and which will continue to give results as we move forward. But before I dwell into it, I want each one of you to take a look at both of these pages. I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes, but just ask yourself, if you were the advertiser trying to sell a hearing aid product, which page would you be using in your ad campaigns? Would you be using the one on the left? Would you be using the one on the right? Just hold on to that thought. We will come back to it in a couple of minutes. Now, I spoke about the evergreen structure. What is this evergreen structure? It essentially has 4 different elements to it, 4 different questions that you got to be asking yourself before you design that page and before you upload it in your campaign that you have created. What is the problem? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Second, why should this problem be solved? Now, if the problem was to do with weight, why is it important for the person who is actually consuming this content to lose weight? So what, why? The next is how can your product or service help this person who is facing this problem? And lastly, when? Obviously, you would want the user to act right now, take that action right away. So these are the 4 things that you should be asking yourself before you design that page. What, why, how, and when. Now, let us go back to the example that we spoke of. Now, does this page have all the elements that we spoke of? Probably some of those. Does this page have all the elements that we spoke of? If you had to take a guess, how many of you think that this is a page which would probably give you better conversion rates? Okay, just a couple of hands. How many of you think this is the page which is going to give you better conversion rates? A lot more hands. And the reason for that is, I'm not necessarily saying that this is a bad page, but there are different angles to it. Now, if I was someone who was creating a campaign, and if my audience was you people in the room, if I was trying to run a campaign to reach out to potential advertisers who would sell my hearing aid product, maybe I would look at an angle like this. But if my end user is actually a B2C customer, and I want that person to be purchasing my product, I want to say it explicitly as to what is the problem through images, through copy. I would follow all the 4 steps that we spoke of. And what we have seen based on the campaigns that are run on our platform, this is something which is likely to give you far better conversion rates, far lower CPAs than the one that you see on the other side. All right, so we looked at the copy aspect of it. Now we'll spend a couple of minutes to actually look at what is the kind of design that converts. Now, there are 5 key design elements that we have to keep in mind. The first is keep it short. I think we are a generation which generally has an extremely low attention span, regardless of what our age is. And it's extremely important to keep that in mind when we actually create our landing pages, create our articles. Get to the point real quick, keep it short, keep it crisp. Generally, what we see on our network is an article with 400 to 600 words works really well. In some of the cases, we have actually seen even shorter articles with 250 words, which are able to convey that message in a very crisp manner, also does the job. The next is humanize it. Who is the person who wrote this article? What are this person's credentials? Why should an article being written by this person be taken seriously? Why should it be taken on face value? So a lot of what I'm speaking of, those elements, you'll actually see in the example here. The next is to have visuals which are very relevant. Look at the context, look at the product, look at the service. Make sure that the images that you have factor in all these things and come up with the images that are most likely to resonate with the end users who are seeing your landing page. There is another awesome tool called as Taboola Trends. You go to Taboola Trends, you ask what sort of geography, what sort of category, what sort of product you have to offer, and it will give you tips on what is likely to work better, which is likely to drive a higher CTR. Should you have an image of a person in close-up? Should you have it with an image, maybe with a background of someone playing on the beach? It will give you all those insights, and that really, again, helps you get better CTRs and better conversion rates. Lastly, make it readable. Have very specific headers, which again, very clearly, explicitly state what you're about to cover. And lastly, play around with your CTAs a little bit. Do not have a lot of hyperlinks, no navigation links, no links which are not taking you towards that eventual conversion. Simple CTA. You can also probably try a little bit of gamification. We have seen all of these work extremely well. So a combination of all these elements, your design types, your copy types, gives you massive, massive success on the native platform. Now, AI, like I said, 2023, we're almost towards the end of it. We can't have a session without speaking of it. The reality of this age is, we've all heard this thing, right? AI is going to replace human beings sooner or later. I don't believe that is the case. I don't think it is going to replace any of us. But someone who does not use AI will probably realize that they are becoming more and more irrelevant, and they will probably be replaced by someone who is using AI very effectively, very efficiently. A job that I previously would have done in about 45 minutes, AI tools are today helping me accomplish the same thing in less than 4 minutes. So obviously, at Taboola, we factored all these things in, and we looked at how can we actually make things much easier for our end advertisers. So as of today, this is something that you'll see in our platform. So if you want to come up with some really awesome creatives, you do not have to have an in-house creative team. You don't have to spend a lot of money hiring a creative agency, a copywriter, so on and so forth. You just come to our our platform, right from generating titles, images, descriptions. All of this takes less than a couple of minutes. Now, what this also does is it takes into consideration what are the campaigns or what are the kind of titles, descriptions that are likely to perform better, and gives you exactly those sort of output. At the end of the day, AI is a tool which will give you outputs based on the prompt that you're putting in. AI tool by itself is not going to make your life easier. It needs to be fed with very relevant, meaningful inputs. Only then the outputs are going to be of great value. So Taboola has already done most of the heavy lifting in this piece. We have already factored in what is our policy that we have in specific markets. So it's very unlikely that you will find something here which is going to be later rejected by the policy team. So that again means you have lesser time to actually create these campaigns and not have to worry about what happens with rejections, creation of more content. All of this happens at the snap of a finger. But you know what? Rather than me actually talking about all these things, let me skip this. And instead, let me play this really cool video. I spoke of what we have in 2023 already. This is going into the future. What we are going to have in 2024. Yesterday, a lot of people asked questions around how do we create landing pages in the context of our SOC. Because that's a game changer. With AFD, I don't need to create content, now I have to. And as you can see in this video, I'm just going to tell the tool, give it some inputs on what my business is, what is my product, what is my landing page, what are the services I'm offering, who is my target audience, extremely important, and that's it. Probably takes about 30 seconds to answer these questions. Just wait for a couple of minutes. Let's have that cup of coffee. Select what is the action we want our users to take. You can have text to image. You already have an image. You can upload the image. You can do it image to image. What is the kind of emotion that you want to display in that specific content of yours? And that's it, voila. So in less than 2 minutes, something which seemed impossible, you are now able to create it in less than probably about 20 minutes. And this is something which is coming in 2024. So not just the creatives, not just the titles, not just the headlines, not just the images. Everything from A to Z is going to happen in less than 5 minutes. We covered quite a bit. So I want to summarize very quickly. And more importantly, the one point that I want to drive across is we do understand that there is a lot of work that needs to go into it. And at Taboola, we constantly keep on challenging ourselves, keep on evolving things to make it much easier for the advertisers, not just to create campaigns, but also to see continued success. So in summary, Taboola gives you access to premium placements reaching 1 billion plus users. It gives you lots of options across different kinds of inventories, be it mobile, be it desktop, be it mail. The most important aspects to consider is what do you do with a user who is already interested. So please make sure you are factoring in all the design types, all the copy types, which is going to completely change the way in which you have been running your native campaigns and the kind of responses that you get in return. And lastly, please leverage the very awesome AI tools that we have to make your life simpler, be super efficient, super effective, and do a lot more in much lesser time. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you had a great time listening to me. Thank you so much.